From years of working with people with trauma, with PTSD, with anxiety, one of the key things that I've learned is having a strategy of some sort that you can reach into and kind of kick into action if and when something triggers you and you end up in whatever the space and environment is. And we all know that it is difficult to think, to make good decisions when you are in that swirl of emotion, of fear, of anxiety, when you feel like everything is collapsing and you just can't get out. That is not the time to start thinking about a strategy. And so I want to think about that and talk about that a little bit, because disappointment is going to happen. We are going to be let down. And that's a fact of life. But if we can have a strategy, an idea, something that we can carry on and carry out when we're in that state, it just might make it easier to go through that season. Again, things happen. Disappointments, hurts, losses. They happen, and one of the things that makes them so hard is that we didn't plan for them, we didn't ask for them. But they do happen. And so having something to help carry you through that is like softening the blow. From a psychological point of view, it is also important to understand that because the events happen and it's just part of life, however hard they are, what's more important is how you respond to it. Now consider this. One of the most incredible miracles, and quite frankly, a height that very few people in the Bible experienced, much less witnessed and took part in, was Elijah's victory on Mount Carmel. One man, at least in his mind, one man up against 400 prophets of Baal, 450 of Asherah, 800 versus 1, and there is a crowd of people watching. And Elijah says, you sacrifice your bull to your God, I will sacrifice mine. Let's call on him, and whichever God answers by fire is the real God. And we know that Elijah mocks them, and he, go louder, and there is nothing. And when it is his turn, he has people pour water all over the sacrifice just to make it that much harder. So that when God acts with power that is undeniable. Fire from heaven completely consumed this thing that was soaked in water. Imagine that type of victory. That everyone can see it, and your life's work, which is to give God the victory, which is to prove him to be the one and not any of this other stuff, is displayed in this manner. And then what happens? Jezebel is upset, and she says, if I don't do to you what you have done to them by this time tomorrow. And there is this drop from this height of celebration, boom, to the lowest point, and Elijah says, take my life. Disappointments will happen, and they may not be of that magnitude. But the key thing here is what Elijah does. Elijah runs away, and in that situation, God ministers to him. Elijah gets to sleep. The angel wakes him up and gives him some food. And he goes to a place where he has an encounter with God. Just those three things. There is so much more to unpack them, but the opportunity to sleep, to get out of the space and to rest. The food and drink to rejuvenate the body and to just pack your resources again so that you can do it again and again as is required of you. And of course, as believers, as those who are called to do the work of God, we need to go back to where He is and recharge. You've got to have a strategy for those things that are going to happen in your life. And I hope that this is an example of something that you can think about, pick up on for yourself, and kick on. Because disappointments will happen. But we will still be called to act, to lead, and to make decisions. And if we're running on empty, like Elijah was, when he was emotionally and physically drained after that, it is going to be difficult to make sound decisions.